Hello and welcome everyone on this blessed Sunday afternoon. It's me, Big E, and I'm here to bring you guys another very interesting talk. Today's discussion, we're going to be talking about the very interesting topic, social media algorithms. And by the conclusion of this video, I hope that my watchers, my viewers, and everyone tuning in is able to take and run with this information and hopefully use it in a way that breaks the veil of some of these underlying influences that you don't even know are playing any role on any factor of your life. So what I want to start with is basically just give you a little rundown of what algorithms are, and then we're gonna in the later half of this video we're gonna go ahead and discuss the exact technicalities in regards to how these social media algorithms function or work. And basically, we'll start from the beginning with algorithms here. Starting with, say, a YouTube algorithm. I know my channel is very much not likely to blow up or gain that algorithm favor for any time soon until we have something that may catch fire, but I don't think that's any high likelihood. So basically, what YouTube likes when it comes down to the algorithm, they like to see weekly, if not daily, uploads that basically has a stream of content that can be interacted with by their viewer base. So the remainder of my video is going to be a little more scripted. I just want to hit some key points. It's going to be less of a free flow of thought and more of just rigid points. Again, I appreciate everyone tuning in and joining me here. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I may not sound or look as tip-top as I usually like to portray myself as. Alright, so now let's talk a little bit about what drives these algorithms when it comes to user engagement. These algorithms absolutely love interactions that may include impressions that come in the form of such things as likes, shares, comments, anything like that. Anything that gets you clicking or interacting or producing that metadata onto that post, that's what they like. That engagement is what drives things forward. And again, by the conclusion of my video, I very much want my viewers to at least gain some more insight and perspective into exactly how these social media algorithms influence them and alter their realities and their daily lives and different aspects within those daily lives. I just want people to be more aware at the end of the day. And one of the reasons that I do want that is because when we exist in these environments, or when we engage in these social media platforms, we're forming our own echo chambers to a degree. So very good example would be our social media feed. Again, that's all curated content specifically for you. So what these echo chambers, or when they become problematic, is when they just breed bias because other alternative point of views, they become disregarded or they don't pop up in the feed because that's not something that you would engage with or like. It basically just encapsulates you in your own little bubble to a degree. So another element here that we really should delve into is attention span. So if you'll look at the young adults or just the youth nowadays, it's no odd thing for them to spend upwards of 8+ hours potentially, especially on the weekends, just interacting with these platforms, and that information, again, it's always getting collected, harvested, and then repurposed. So again, back onto attention. You can see my attention span was pulling off a little bit. Attention is basically, let me try this again. So someone else put it lovely. I watched another video earlier, and they basically said how we have land on the earth that's all been basically purchased or acquisitioned, and now the new frontier when it comes to that stuff is the individual or their attention span. Because once you have someone's attention, you have the ability to influence, you have the ability to potentially predict their future actions based on their current behaviors. It all ties in to end goals. Now, further into the discussion of end goals when it comes to these social media algorithms. For one, again, what we were saying beforehand about attention. So basically how that other individual in that other video that I mentioned phrased it, our attention to a degree is being colonized. Once our attention has been basically processed to such a degree, we also got to look at what these companies are focused on and what is their end goal. So besides profit, we need to recognize that these companies are based on business models that are foundationally based on a growth model, say an indefinite growth model in this regard. And in order to get higher engagement, to get more people interacting on these platforms, they need to be able to, again, process these very large amount of data from their users in order to refine that into something that they can make money off of. This comes to the worst part, in my opinion: ads. I'm gonna, look more cool, a little more cool for this one. So ads, they love this data that individuals are able to throw out willingly. You'll have license and user end agreements, and of course people don't necessarily read the fine terms in that. They just end up signing, and to a degree they're signing away that data. And the next thing I wanted to touch on is a very key thing in regards to the social media algorithmic talk, and that is the term called AI, or artificial intelligence. And of course, I'm very confident that my viewers are familiar with artificial intelligence and how it's pervasive in so many aspects of our life. And I'm already going to go ahead and get to my final thoughts of this video. One of those final thoughts being, don't be an NPC. You have the power you have the right to take back your power as an individual, not as a consumer. And you don't need to play in or fall into these traps of these algorithms that only serve the interest of making sure that ads get engaged with, or that's the more cynical take on things. But again, it's all predictive modeling. So if your future behavior is being predicted on what you're doing now, and it basically creates an incongruency with things that are authentic with your engagements on these platforms. So with the final thought of authenticity, that's probably where I'll go ahead and call it for this video. At least when it comes to not explaining the technicalities on how social media algorithms work. So this is the time. Click off the video if you're not that technically inclined. But before you do, I just wanted to highlight one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting. Also probably put a clip up here in a second. But basically these algorithms you may have seen within the last decade or so, you may have seen them, instead of recommending, especially on platforms such as Instagram or Facebook, instead of recommending relevant connected data, such as like
At the beginning of 2021, only 8% of content on Facebook feeds were what they call unconnected posts, basically posts from accounts that you don't follow. At that point, you were more likely to see posts from groups you joined, pages you followed, or from your friends and people that you chose to follow. That was the biggest category. But year after year, that started to change. The Facebook feed algorithm started to show users more content from accounts that they didn't follow in an attempt to mimic the wild success of TikTok's For You page. Now, unconnected content makes up almost a third of what people see on their feeds. It's the biggest category of all.
People you follow, your friends, or some of the content that they may put out, it would instead bridge out and recommend or provide unconnected content instead. So now with their model that they're projecting, it's about a third of the content that gets put into someone's feed is now unconnected. So it's trying to just open up these avenues that are already not established yet, and then expand on those moving forward. So this portion of the video is for those tech nerds out there, me absolutely included. So let's go ahead and dive into exactly what a social media algorithm is. So we're gonna have this outlined. It's gonna be very scripted. I'm gonna try to cruise through as fast and as smoothly as I can. So let's start from the first of 7 bulleted points. So number 1, data collection. So of course that's self-explanatory. It includes mostly 2 types of data. So user data, which is defined in the parameters of behavioral, demographic, social graph, and behaviors included under these user data would be such things as a user's likes, their shares, their comments, just how they're engaging with that content is their behavior. Their demographic, you'll look at their age, location, unique interest of a region, stuff like that. And then the social graph, again, this is all under user data. It just basically it's just your interconnectivity when it comes to your friends and your followers. And then so again, that's the user data, behavioral, demographic, and social graph. And then that's in tandem with content data, which is can include metadata, which is just that at first impression data. That's just the baseline information that's more on the technical back end of things there. That hashtags, the captions, shares, likes, that's all content data. So again, all that falls under data collection. And on to the second form, or the second main point when it comes to social media algorithms, there's something called feature extraction. So from that collected data in our first point there, they're gonna refine that, they're gonna define the data also, and then they're gonna turn it into valuable information at that point. And then the third point, there's a ranking and scoring system. So relevant scores is what they have. That's based on machine learning models. Another thing we'll touch on just in a second. Factors under that may include relevance, recency, engagement, popularity, and relationships. Pardon me, again, I'm sick. But number 4, machine learning models what I wanted to touch on. So that's used for predicting the user engagement this time and continuously improving the recommendation. So it's a feedback loop, and it leads into how that content is pushed on to bullet point number 5, personalization. It's how you cater these unique user feeds and that are, again, curated from these predicted preferences or these predicted preference models. Excuse me. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the closing on this video before I go ahead and give myself heat stroke trying to get this video created in an unventilated vehicle such as the one I'm in right now. We're gonna look at point number 6 of 7, learning feedback. So again, once this information has been collected, deciphered, and then turned into valuable information, there's a feedback loop that continues to basically adapt and then learn, of course, from the individual in order to keep optimizing. And that leads us in exactly the last point I'm going to cover. There's a goal for optimization as well with these algorithms on social media. So that includes also semi-goals. Also, I mean, they're still pretty big goals, but you want to, again, drive user engagement. That includes new users as well. Again, that endless growth model keep going up. And then they want to generate the ad revenue. Again, we touched on that heavily. And then the users that are already on the platform, they want to keep them. And at the end of the day, they just want to keep moving the dial. And that might have been a little bit of the heat stroke why I was so delayed on the last part. So we're going to go ahead and call it. But y'all have a great rest of your afternoon on this blessed Sunday. And thanks for joining in for another Biggie Talk.